All right, we're back again.
Okay, we're back on Funny Book Forensics.
Yeah.
Now on the project-nerd.com
Whoa.
podcasting network.
That's wild. It's a whole new thing, but
Yep.
different.
All right, we talked
similar.
about it. We don't have to ever talk about it again. Cool. So we are off.
We talked about it once. For all you listeners out there, we just keep, we're just jumping around. We're doing our
We
thing.
appreciate that, Iggy. Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
that's our obligatory plug for the episode, and we are off.
Oh man.
So
Where's our t-shirts?
I don't have a t-shirt. That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't have one either. I've been providing memes and writing things for like years now.
Well, all I do is provide content, so I'm probably
Host
not really
panels.
worth it. I'm not really worth a t-shirt.
You host panels at conventions.
I did host panels for me, I guess for them. Well, we are. I got to meet 80% of the people I hosted panels for were amazing,
There you go. See, that's great.
and 20%, that'd be one, was not so amazing.
That's okay though. I mean, we move on.
Well, or we punch people in the face, but it's all good. So, if I had punched that guy in the face, though, like, he might have died.
He might have been terrible.
Yeah, it would have been a tragedy, but
A tragedy.
not so much.
Not so much.
I mean, would have been a tragedy for 80s cartoons.
Would it have been though? A lot of people. I mean, anyways, it's not.
I mean, it's suspect
not,
to whether or not those 80s cartoons. And by the way, welcome to the Project Nerd Podcasting Network, us. And this is how we start our show, letting the listener know just enough not to know anything about what we're talking about, which is a theme for the show. So if you're new to listening to us, you might as well just get used to
it's kind of an
this
insight,
and a lot of good things. Well, I do think it's appropriate to start this way, though, because
totally.
we are looking at Legion of Superheroes number 289, and we've got a big cover shot that says "A Cold and Lonely Corner of Hell" on it.
It's kind of like our lives.
I was just going to say that was the theme for the podcast, but you took it way darker. Jeez. Next thing I know, you're going to be sending out government secrets on a Discord server or something. Like,
oh, don't say that. I don't want to be. Okay, so I mean, in all fairness, I was on a podcast. I am on a podcast, and we were on a list for God knows, like a year probably, because of one of our guests, and that guest disappeared. So,
well, that's probably for the best.
Probably
for that guest.
But yeah, like Saul and I were on a list.
That would be Saul, the host of
Nerds from the Crypt. So imagine getting on a plane and then having somebody pull you aside and say, "Mr. Smith, we need to talk to you about stuff."
I don't like that at all.
It's not cool.
I don't think I would enjoy that.
It happened for a year.
Well, I mean, we will talk about this comic because it's a really good story. I would just like to say, number one,
yes,
if you are online anywhere and you post the following: Dave Cockrum's run on X-Men was really good and groundbreaking.
It was,
but he only paved the way for John Byrne, who was even better.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
Me? Why? Because
anybody? No, not you. Not you.
I thought it was.
You're dumb for drinking Polar.
I have four cases.
You're dumb for
stuff.
drinking during the podcast for one, but
I'm thirsty,
that's
Dan.
fine. No, I'm just saying, like, if you
Cold
cannot
and lonely
see,
Corner of Hell.
If you think John Byrne's art defined the X-Men, you're wrong.
Yes, because it was Dave Cockrum.
You're just fundamentally wrong. Like, yeah, like, yes. I mean, what are some of the great creations John Byrne gave us? Mohawk Storm.
I mean, cool. Very cool.
That was edgy. It's Punk Storm.
Punk Storm.
Wasn't even Punk Storm. She just got really mad. Actually, you know what? I've read the hell out of that book, actually, because for some reason I got that one as a 3-pack as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's the one where she comes in and all the plants are dead and Kitty Pryde finds her and she's shaved her head. Mm-hmm. And Kitty Pryde's all like wigged out. I've actually read that book a ton, so.
I believe that's like where they end up, like, in that run, don't they end up meeting the what are they, the cast-offs that live in the underground?
I think that was that Morlocks. I think that was right after she defeated Callisto. I think that issue.
Okay. I had to,
I think that. So I had no context for that, right? Like, so I just had this issue where like Storm has shaved her head as a kid, and I had no idea what was happening.
What's going on?
Yeah. But I think anyway, I bring it up just to say, John Byrne, you're fine. Like, if I saw John Byrne today, I would, shake his hand and compliment him on everything he gave to comics. So I hope everybody understands it's all in, I don't want to say jest. I mean, I really do believe that Dave Cockrum's art set the tone for the X-Men. That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think John Byrne is overrated based on those contributions. And when I look at John Byrne's whole career, I think he's overrated because when he went to DC, he didn't deliver. It's kind of like Brian Bendis,
Wow. Dan is on a tear right now.
I don't know. I mean, like now I'm in real trouble because like you're friends with lots of people that are friends with.
I am on the cusp of people who know these people. I'm not. So you go ahead and say what you want. And
I mean, your artist knows him, so like.
Yeah, but I mean, so.
Brett knows him, but anyway,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
anyway, like I don't want to like no, I do think though like okay, so are John Byrne and Brian Michael Bendis both important people in the history of comics that have contributed a lot?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I need to look at their whole career and evaluate that whole career and not just snippets of it to see how good they actually are? I think that's fair, right? Like I think it's fair to say like yeah, John Byrne had a really good run on X-Men when he had base level art to work with, and then he did define some of it, and he had a consistent writer for the whole time. And then when he went off to DC and was asked to redefine the Superman universe, he failed at it. Mm-hmm. Brian Bendis did a lot of different things.
Yeah. Had
some good things for Marvel, had some bad things. Mm-hmm. And then went to DC and tried to redefine Superman and failed at it. So, and was, away from DC very quickly after a great hurrah. Or is Superman the problem?
That's a good question. And Superman's a tough one to nail down because it's such a, to throw out the term evergreen, Superman's an evergreen type story, right? It's something that's been there for so long. It's a mythos that has been there, and to try to put spins on it and other things, it's hard to change people's ideas and feels for things. I mean, it's been done, but
I mean, I definitely like more of the things that came out of sort of the Bendis run, but I think those were teed up for him a little bit too, because John Kent was actually teed up for him, and then he evolved John Kent. But yeah, some of those things were there existing pieces he played with. So I don't know. Like I actually am bringing this up for a reason because we are at Legion of Superheroes 289. We're not quite to Mahlstedt and Giffen yet, with still Bruce Patterson and Keith Giffen. But a lot of people, the annual we'll read next, which is the annual number 1. And this book, a lot of people will say, some people argue that it starts with Levitz. But this book right here, I don't think it's the Karate Kid book that we watched, the Karate Kid and Projector book that we read last time. That's still to me sort of a Bronze Age story, right?
Yeah.
This is the story that a lot of Legion fans will say took the Legion of Superheroes from the Bronze Age to the modern age. This single story that we're reading, and then the next one.
This one right here, where everything kind of, there's a lot of stuff that happens.
There's more adult themes in here than there have been previously. It's not a few issues ago we had kids playing volleyball on a space asteroid.
Very Archies.
And this is not.
This is very tense. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of things that thematically, if you've been reading this story run, like this isn't. If you've been reading these stories in the past, this is like a very grow up moment. And for me, jumping into this and my knowledge of Legion of Superheroes has been, spoon-fed by you, over the years, and it's like, oh, this is not what I was expecting, and this is like, wow, okay, cool, this is where we're at, this is what's going on.
Well, and I think, these obviously we're heading into the Great Darkness saga, but these are the stories leading up to it, and I think we do take a turn too, right? It goes from a very bright book and it's slowly eroding, right? Like we're looking at the cover and we've got this long shot of the cover. So basically we have Starboy's uniform on the cover.
Yeah.
With that would be a big field of stars in the background.
Yeah.
We've got these big ice monolith things folding over the heroes, and they're all on their wrecked spacecraft, the one that Colossal Boy flew. And just remember, if Colossal Boy flies a ship, we're in trouble. And the rescue ship they brought, and we've got Chameleon Boy and Shrinking Violet and Timberwolf, who went on the mission to fight Karlach. Well, ended up fighting Karlach of the Kuns, which you would have seen 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And there's Saturn Girl and Colossal Boy who came to rescue them, and they've got a fire burning in the middle, and it looks pretty ominous. The one thing I will point out on the cover is Saturn Girl's original costume is back. No bikini.
No bikini.
And that's also one of the changes we get from the Cockrum Bronze Age to now. Like you start to see a mix of some of the Silver Age costumes. But as we get into this though, I mean, they're foreshadowing it, and I'll just tell you it's going to happen, right? Like Chameleon Boy is going to jail. I mean, Chameleon Boy just violated treaties.
Yeah.
And made an assault on another planet, right? Like this is. Right. And to be rebellious against his dad, we are now getting more established, but very serious themes. And I don't think the jail thing is too much of a spoiler. I think you probably figure out something's going to happen to Chameleon Boy after this. It's pretty serious.
He's done some things that have not fit into the, the what they uphold as Legionnaires.
Yes. One, we've seen Lightning Lad as the leader just losing his mind over the fact that the heroes aren't acting like the Archie heroes that he thought he was leading, and he literally can't handle being the leader when it's shifted, right, to this more adult theme.
Right. Everybody's doing things based off of feelings.
And personal interest and feeling. And it's not just a situation where it's not just a situation where you can tell the Legionnaire is based off the color of their hair from the artist, right? Each one they've been working over these few issues to develop very distinct personalities. Some of those personalities are still evolving. Like Block his personality seems to evolve every issue. Yeah. And trying to establish some characters that really didn't have a personality in the past. And this single issue, as we'll get into it, I promise to quit talking about the cover and the themes here, but this is the issue where we get some pretty serious personality insights on 5 different characters across the span of an issue. And I just going to say it before we get to the end. I'll get your opinion at the end, and you can disagree with me when you get to the end. But we're going to read one next week too, but this is one of my favorite standalone issues of a comic. Now, we did work up to it. It is part of the storyline, but I think you could read this as a standalone. And it's one of my favorite standalone issues of all time, and that I've ever read. And in this Legion run, this is 289. The annual, which comes out right around this time, is also one of my favorite standalone issues of all time. Yeah. And issue 300... so just 11 issues is also one of my favorite standalone issues of all time. And I don't just mean Legion issues. I mean comic book issues. Yeah. And 300 is, which we won't get to on the podcast, but 300 is Giffen and Levitz take a story from the Silver Age and resolve it. And basically say, we are here very much in the modern age of comics, right? They take a story that sort of exists out there that predicts what the future for the Legion should be, right? And Giffen co-plotting it, and Levitz basically established that's a possible future, but we're going to write our own path in the story. And that's just another issue that really cements, right, the path of the book, and that they're tied to the past, and they acknowledge it, and they respect it, but they're not going to necessarily like be beholden to what like John Fort or Jim Shooter wrote in the 60s. Yeah.
They're not going to say, okay, this is what it is. We just have to stick with it, and that's the word.
But they very much acknowledge it, and that's one of the things I like too. And I love, like, for this, I didn't know this the first time I read this book, that the transition, because I started with number 306 as a kid. So I missed I had to go back and get these from back issue bins. So as I was reading through, like, I didn't know the significance at the time of like Saturn Girl's costume going from the copper bikini back to her Silver Age costume with a little bit more style. But then, you know, too, like more of a grown-up thing. Hey, we're not kids playing on the beach here. Like, I'm somebody to be reckoned with and taken seriously. But and they would do an amazing job developing Saturn Girl from here all the way to once this series ends, I think in like 313-ish, and then they restart numbering, and they carried the Saturn Girl development all the way through like issue 34 of the next book.
Oh.
So it was
continual.
Yeah. And a miniseries too. So, well, they did a Legionnaires 3. They did a Founders miniseries with Saturn Girl, Lightning Lad, and Cosmic Boy. So they did a 4. So, I mean, it really... Anyway, okay, we should talk about it because I'm just gushing all over it. But I think the cover's really interesting. I like it's one of those Giffen covers that makes it very ominous. It doesn't make the Legion the focal point. It makes the Void the focal point.
Yeah. I mean, they're lost. They're out there, and it doesn't look good. It hasn't looked good for them for an issue or two.
Yeah. I mean, we got the interlude with Karate Kid and Projectra, right? But we knew this was going on in the background, and an issue before that, they're out invading a planet with 3 people for some reason, right? Like, it didn't look good. Well, here we flip to the page and we get Legion of Superheroes, A Cold and Lonely Corner of Hell. And we have Paul Levitz writer, Keith Giffen and Bruce Patterson artist, John Costanza on letters, Carl Gafford coloring, and Laurie Sutton editing. And yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I probably would have wanted here was the Mahlstedt inks, but I honestly think Patterson does it. There's only a few issues with Patterson inking Giffen, and they're kind of growing on me, I guess.
Yeah. It's growing on you slowly. Look.
Well, it's just I'm so used to the other combination because there's just so many more issues of it.
Yeah.
But this combination, it's good.
It's good. It's good for me.
Well, we get a bunch of annoyed Legionnaires.
Oh yeah, they're not happy.
And Colossal Boy is like, well, I crashed us on a good asteroid, and Shrinky Violet's probably the most rational. She's like, nobody picked this. We're stuck here, and then Chameleon Boy is all remorseful and angry. Like, I picked this stupid mission. What was I doing? I was mad at my dad. I took us on a suicide mission. He doesn't say the mad at his dad part, but if you've been reading along, you know why.
Why?
And you got Timberwolf, and he's just chewing on Chameleon Boy.
Right.
And we have Saturn Girl, who we found out last time they found a nice new uniform for her, so she's not wearing the bikini out in the cold, which is probably good.
Oh, yeah.
It's just and I love Cockrum's costumes, but her updated Silver Age costume is just a way better costume.
It is.
It's got all the right parts, right? Like, it's got good contrast, and it's just a good costume.
It's a good costume.
And basically, we get a famous Keith Giffen 9-panel grid on the next page. I wonder, if Keith was still alive, I would love to ask him if he liked the 9-panel grids because that's how he liked to be as a creator, because he was verbose when he wrote as well. Or if he liked the 9-panel grids because Paul Levitz wrote so much that he had to get everything in the 9-panel grids.
Just pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I mean, 9 fits on a page really nicely. So
I also love how like Giffen will use the 9-panel grids to progress the story very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much more here, right? Like often you read a book like this here and you were expecting, I know, something very different. I mean, I think this single book would have taken like 4 books now.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot going on in this book. When we've talked before to you, it's like there's a lot going on in this book, and it has so much packed into it that, yeah, in any other setting, I think with any other team putting this together, it probably would have taken more. It would have been any other editorial team probably would have had it spread out over like a couple of other books, just because, well, we have to tell more of the story or explain or give more action or whatever. But they do such a good job at keeping it moving and keeping it tight in this book that you don't ever feel like it's too much, or you don't feel like you're missing anything. It just flows and fits really nicely. So I was like, wow, when it was done, I was like, this was a heavy book.
Yeah. Well, and I also, it's interesting because they're wrapping up the previous storylines, right, to get to a 4-story arc. So, and an annual. So they had a lot going on that they were getting out.
They had to do it.
So the first 9-panel grid we get in the book, we get a little bit of a summary, right? Saturn girls opining that lightning lads probably got everybody searching for them, which we know is true. We've got Timberwolf recapping the fact that the flight rings are useless because of the frozen crystals that are getting into them. And their Saturn girls recapping that it's cold, right? And there's something unusual about the cold. They don't know exactly what it is, and I don't even know if they get to it in the book, but we know something's weird about it. Chameleon Boy is recapping the fact that he brought them to the Kund world, right, to get them in a fight.
Yep.
And we get reminded that Colossal Boy and Shrinking Violet are suddenly in love. And Shrinking Violet is opining that she might, this might be their last time to hang out together, which is, it's weird because this kind of came out of nowhere too, right? Like they were just all of a sudden.
They were friendly and now they are.
Really friendly?
Yeah.
Like that progressed quickly. Well, we get to the next page and we end up on the planet of Yucatan 7.
Yeah.
A jungle, presumably in the Yucatan Peninsula. And we're going to have a dog barking in a second. So,
oh, no.
Just listeners, if you don't know, it'll be my dog this time and not Greg's.
Not Greg's.
So
my dogs will be barking in about 10 minutes.
Well, we get the strange pairing of Sunboy and Block out looking for stuff. Block is looking strangely like a famous DC villain.
Yeah.
Is he not?
Yeah, he is. He has a look to him.
Grimbor gave him some chains, so he's got some chains going around him. And he's this rocky figure with a skirt-like uniform. I don't. Now this is 1982. I don't know if we've seen a character that looks like this in a while.
No.
I don't recall. Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Oh, okay. Well, this Rocky-esque figure. Anyway, these weird green toothy monsters come at them.
Oh no, toothy monsters. Yeah,
and
they look scary. Grimbor puts a hurt on them. Oh, Grimbor.
And Grimbor. It's not Grimbor, that's Block.
Block. Grim Block.
This is not a Jim Shooter book.
Yeah, Block just drops one. Welcome.
Yeah, I like how Block just kind of drops them too. He's just like thunking them.
Yeah.
And then they find out that they invaded their wedding party.
Yeah, they were the people they were there to save.
Yeah.
Like they were sent to this place to go save some people, and those are the people we're supposed to save. Oopsie.
Yeah. And a classic. I mean, if you're Lightning Lad and you send Sunboy and Block out on a mission together, this is probably going to be your result. Sunboy is not known for his mental acuity necessarily, and he is known for liking the ladies a little too much and being gross. And Block also, as we've seen in the last few issues, he seemed to be a reasoned thinker. he's not one to make quick decisions. He likes to review the holovids and things.
Yeah, they rolled a nat 1 on this on this.
Well, let's just say that the duo of Sunboy and Block did not find the missing Legionnaires. So
no, they didn't find the missing Legionnaires.
We are back at Legion headquarters, and Lightning Lad has sequestered himself off to his quarters, and he's getting bugged. Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to figure out because they were helping Karate Kid and Projectra, so we've got two of the most powerful Legionnaires not out searching because they were already out helping everybody else. So
right.
And we find out that Lightning Lad's pretty much broken down at this point, and he goes through all the teams he sent out, and Dream Girl steps up and criticizes him and asks him if he's making it worse.
Oh,
boy, that Dream Girl sure has gotten some. Boy, she solved the whole thing in the last issue, and now she's attacking the current Legion leader.
She's a little brazen.
Yeah,
it's almost like she's trying to position herself to be a leader.
Yeah, it is. It is almost like that. I don't know. Well,
I like it.
Lightning Lad's pretty much
he's crying, man. He's a broken dude.
Yeah, well, his wife is lost and he thinks she's dying. So
yeah, I know.
And he the pressure of the team. This is a really interesting. Well, and there was a rule that married Legionnaires, you couldn't be a Legionnaire if you were married. That was a Silver Age thing. That was in the Constitution.
So he broke that rule, man.
Well, they let them back in, so they got married and left, and then they came back. So, and then they let Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy come back, but then as soon as they got rid of them in the first issue. They're like, let's reinstate that rule. We'll send them off. I kind of like what they do with Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel later, though. They make them the leaders of the Legion Academy, the head teachers.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they're I guess the theory is Bouncing Boy theoretically has, I would say the weakest power, but kind of the weakest power, but he learned to use it, so he'll then teach other people how to use their powers effectively, which I like that. I think that's cool.
That's good. Yeah. Those who can't do can teach.
Hey, now. Wow.
Close to home. I'm sorry. Hey.
All right. Yep. So, well, now
dude.
we get the team of Dawn Star and Light Lass talk about great powers. Light Lass making things super lightweight.
Yes.
I'm sure she'll be very useful on this mission of finding people. But Dawn Star, who tracks people in outer space, now that's a good fit. That one makes sense.
It's a good fit.
And we've got a whole bunch of Kirby Crackle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love Kirby Crackle space. But we can sum up these couple pages basically Dawn Star is just swearing that she's going to find them for Light Lass.
Gonna find them.
But then a solar beam erupts, some Kirby Crackle comes in and blows up their ship.
Yeah.
No, that's no good.
No, it's not good.
And then she rescues Light Lass, and she's like, "Just find Timberwolf. Just find my man.
Find him."
Yeah, I don't. That's weird.
It's a cool.
She's very controlling too. We're talking about the adult themes. She made him go to the doctor and change his appearance, and then
and wasn't sure she liked him after the fact, and now she's like, I can't live without him. Find him.
I know. It's almost like almost like she's trying to find herself.
Maybe she's lost and doesn't know.
I don't know. It's very weird. Well, anyway, we go back to the frozen asteroid, and Saturn Girl and Timberwolf are out talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a very serious adult conversation. She looks at Timberwolf and says, I love Garth, that's Lightning Lad, deeply, but not that deeply, and referring to how much he loves Light Lass. And lately, with all his problems, I'm not sure he cares at all. I had to save the man who made Garth's sister feel love, and that's why she came to save them. And he's looking at her and says, I don't know. And then they get interrupted by Colossal Boy and Shrinking Violet. So,
hey.
And they say Chameleon Boy found something in the wreckage. Or we found something in the wreckage that Chameleon Boy overlooked. My bad. Chameleon Boy not winning on this trip.
No, not at all.
But they find basically a communicator, right? So trying to use.
They need to communicate.
They're going to try. Well, it's like a flare.
Yeah.
Well, then we get to the bottom of the page, and we go back to that strange barren world.
Oh.
That we saw before in that part where that guy was laughing at the end.
Oh, man.
And it says, and that life is death incarnate. He stands there almost regal on his dark throne, stretching his rippling muscles once again. I don't know. Is this Grimbor?
I don't know.
Is Grimbor the secret bad guy?
I don't know. There's a lot going on in this place, man.
I mean, stretching, ripping muscles, chains, perhaps?
It looks like, there's a lot going on. It's like
oh, wait. I don't think it's Grimbor. Almost recovered from their centuries-long rest.
Oh.
I think we saw Grimbor a few issues ago, so... he gazes out at 5 pods hanging from the ceiling cave like slimy molds dripping from above. Oh, I hate slime molds, man. Those things are annoying when you're in the cave.
Yeah, you're like, so much slime.
And you never know what it's going to be either. It's going to be like something that melts your armor that you just worked for like a year to build or something. Like...
Why is it dripping on me?
It's always something.
Sometimes it tastes like a rocket pop or something like that, like an icicle.
Well, we get a lot. We get one small panel that is just entirely Kirby Crackle and a Kazap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You know. I'm not saying this has anything to do with Jack Kirby, but there sure is a lot of Kirby Crackle.
Oh yeah.
Around this particular character with the power and things.
A lot.
Well, he sends out the things from the pods. He calls them his misshapen ones to do the master's bidding, and he sends them out in the universe to do mischief. And now we're back, and we've got Starboy and Phantom Girl out there looking. Starboy and Phantom Girl are sure throwing some barbs at each other over the last few issues, and now it just proves how Lightning Lad sort of lost his leader. This is who he puts together as a team. Yeah. It seems makes sense.
Let's put you two together. You guys are going to work together just fine.
Yeah, there's one issue way later. And it was way after this, way after Giffen and Levitz. Mm-hmm. I think it was Legion of Three Worlds. I'm trying to even remember what it was, but the writer I don't remember who wrote it. I think it might have been Jeff Johns, but he just has Brainiac 5 look at is a different version of Light Lass, but he looks like Starboy and Light Lass, and he's like, "You both control gravity." That's really powerful. You two have no idea how powerful you are.
And they're like, oh. Are we?
Yeah. Well, and later on, too, that cool uniform that Starboy's wearing. By the way, we don't have a V-neck anymore, which this is the cool Starboy uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say that's a map of the multiverse.
Oh, okay.
But that's a way retcon from way later. Way later.
Way later.
Yeah. But still cool. That uniform is bomb. I fell in love with that uniform as a kid.
That's so cool.
Still love it. I love the fact that you just can't draw it the same way every time either.
I can't imagine you could.
I think that would be impossible.
It would be impossible.
It must be a really cool future fabric.
You should cosplay as it, and then get yourself
I'm not in good enough shape to cosplay as that. I also he doesn't have his beard yet, but an issue from now he's gonna have a beard. I can't pull that off.
Just get some fake beard stuff and then glue it on your face.
Well, I can go with the whole hood like he was in JSA and Kingdom Come, so I could go with the whole face mask and everything. That'd be really hot, but we could do it. Yeah, I don't know.
Do that.
If you know what, listeners, right? I'll keep getting in better shape. If you want to make me a Starboy costume to wear, I will. Next con I'm at, I will happily wear a Starboy costume.
Do you hear that, people? Make Dan a Starboy costume. Make Dan Starboy.
I would love it.
I'm 100% behind this.
Yeah, but Starboy kind of talks like Dan too. So Starboy's like, I don't know what's going on, but our buddies are goners for sure. That's what the logic would tell you. It sounds like something I would say out on a trip.
Right.
And this time, instead of throwing a barb back at him, Phantom Girl just thinks about what he's saying and just says, "Yeah, be quiet, please," because she doesn't want to think about the fact that her friends are probably dead somewhere in space.
Right.
So we get back to the asteroid, and it looks like Chameleon Boy is forming some sort of shape It's interesting, depending on who's writing Chameleon Boy, he has sort of different powers. In general, like, he's supposed to just have the power to, like, mimic things.
Uh-huh.
But he's not supposed to get their powers, but he gets their characteristics.
To just form up a thing?
Right, so if he was, like, a lightning beast of Korbal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the lightning beast of Korbal. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
About the lightning beast of Korbal. He could be a
lightning beast, but he doesn't have the lightning beast power.
He couldn't have the lightning. Yeah. So, like, the lightning beast of Korbal, by the way, that's how Lightning Lass, now Light Lass, and Lightning Lad got their powers.
Okay.
Along with their brother, Lightning Lord. See, there's a lot of lightning.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's the lightning Lord.
You didn't know about the lightning beast of Korbal. How did you not?
You know, I missed that part. I'm not going to pass the test.
Okay, yeah, you're not. Well, he also could become like some sort of bird that like throws fire, but he couldn't. Oh. He'd just fly, but he couldn't. He could fly.
The fire.
Right.
I see.
Theoretically. I don't know what he's forming here. It looks like Keith just had him
looks like he's
formed something cool.
Making an unwritten check that can't be cashed.
Yeah. I don't know what animal he is right here.
He's the original Animorph.
Oh, no, not Morph. How did you get Morph into this discussion? I haven't started watching X-Men 97 yet.
You're welcome.
So now I should go downstairs and watch that tonight, basically.
Well, tell me how it is.
Well, now we've got... They launch off their thing, right? And then some anti-photons, that doesn't sound too good.
No.
Are reacting with what's left of the cruiser, and it blows up. We get a really cool picture of Colossal Boy pulling Chameleon Boy and everybody running away.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, there goes our food supplies.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It's just bad news, dude. It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, I think Timberwolf sums it up by saying, blast that orange-skinned idiot for getting us into this fix. I mean, he doesn't have to be racist. But, you know, I think he's delivering the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Timberwolf.
He's Timberwolf.
Well, we find out easy. Saturn Girl tries to calm him down. And... she's complimenting him. She says, but if you do tell her she's got my envy and a very special guy, referring to seeing Light Lass again. I'm like, wow. It's like, I hope I get to deliver the message. And then they're standing there, and in flies Light Lass and Dawnstar. They found them, and Light Lass is very upset about...
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Timberwolf and Saturn Girl comforting each other.
She's like, ooh, there's a...
Now, are we getting a kiss or not, like, at the bottom of 16 in that 9-panel grid? I don't think we are.
I think we're just getting two people that think all hope is lost and that they're just holding each other, and that like, things are going... They went from bad to worse, and this might be, like, you know, we should just... be comforting each other. It looks like they're just, you know, like he's giving her a hug, and when Light Lass sees them, that's, you know, she catches them in this embrace, and that's what she sees, and she doesn't know how to read it, if that makes sense, right? She only
sees... It's just like she's so jealous and she's so like controlling that she sees this, and she's now forgotten the fact that she thought Timberwolf was dead, basically, and is now like pouting.
Yeah.
And Dawnstar is now shaming Saturn Girl on the page.
Yeah.
And Timberwolf's like, I'm so glad to see you again. Literally after just saying he would give anything to see her again. And she's like bawling, saying, are you really? And yeah, this is just it's different, right?
Yeah. It's like I said, it's very heavy because like it's hard because Dawnstar and Light Lass get there and they have no context to what they're seeing except for them in, you know, Saturn Girl and Timberwolf in an embrace, and they don't know that they, you know, like they're literally giving up all hope at this point that this is the end of their run, right? and when they do see them, or when Timberwolf and Saturn Girl see them, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you found us!" He's like, I'm so glad to see you." Just like, "No, you're not."
Well, and I do feel like they'd established this with her, so it didn't just come out of nowhere, right? Like they'd established the controlling nature she had, right? They established the jealousy, and even in the shots in earlier issues with her and Saturn Girl, right? Like when she told Saturn Girl to go find them, and then she does, and then she's so jealous, and I think. Like, it's giving her some character for the first time, and I'll just say, like, this version of Light Lass I don't like, but then what they do with her later is really good, and I don't think I'm supposed to like her, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't like her because of what they've been building her up to at this point. You're like, oh wow, I mean, that's the tough part is, I mean, they're essentially teenagers. They're going through those hard emotions of, like, the first love, all this stuff, and coming to terms.
And I'll say young adults at this point, right?
Adults. They're even if it's second or third love or whatever you want to call it, they're coming to those terms of, like, oh my gosh, my heart is breaking because I don't know what's going on,
Yeah, they're more Buffy than Dawson's Creek, right?
Yeah, you put yourself into those situations in your own life, and you're like, it sucks, right? You're like, I remember when I was in a situation like that where I misread the room, so to speak, and I didn't know what was going on, and I either overreacted or underreacted to a situation, and.
Yeah, and again, too, this is going to develop over time, and it's one of those Paul Levitz slow builds. I mean, it builds over 2 years. 2.5 years with this character. And Levitz and Giffen really build the character and take a character, too, like Light Lass, who, like, didn't have a lot of characterization at all, and really build a character here. It's and we're just getting the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And, of course, Timberwolf seems, like, absolutely clueless.
Oh, yeah. He's a typical dude.
Like, I will say, like, I think probably one thing I don't like about it is the fact that they sort of put the onus on the women to be the responsible parties in the relationship. That's kind of weird, a little bit.
Well, I think it's more like, maybe not the responsible parties, but more the mature. They're more mature, and that's just in general. Like, I feel that women they mature faster than guys do.
Well, statistically, yeah.
Statistically, so it makes more sense that they would act in a way that's, like, more mature, more thoughtful.
Also, that is her sister-in-law, right? So
yeah, she'd probably feel a little have concerns. Or a little spurn or whatever, and Timberwolf is just, I mean, we know Timberwolf is not, he doesn't read stuff like other people either, he's not, there's my dog store barking.
So we get this all in one 17-page story.
Yeah.
We have a backup story, which we will talk about the backup story.
Do we?
Which, yeah, I know. Well,
we have to.
The writing's fine.
Yeah, no.
So,
we're on the same page.
Yeah. So what we get the preview here. While waiting in the wings, we get at the bottom Chameleon Boy in chains. So letting him know he was going to jail was not far off.
Yeah.
And some little creature thing, and it says, "And the servant shall be a sign," begins the most monumental battle epic the Legion annals have ever recorded. Watch for it in May 20th. Meanwhile, don't miss our first ever Legion of Superheroes annual, a 41-page spectacular by Levitz and Giffen, on sale May 13th. So we're getting lots of stories And we're going to read it before May 13th, so you got it early, see?
Yay!
We'll be covering the annual next, and we'll be covering Legion 290 the week after. So I do want to get into this backup story, though, because it's historically interesting.
Yeah.
The art's awful.
I mean, it's not awful. It's just like after... It
is awful.
Okay. No, I'm going to say, if you've been following along and you've been delighted by the previous art changes and everything that you've seen up to this point, you're like, wow, wow, wow. And then this is like...
Silver Age.
What happened? It's not bad. It's just not... Your expectations have just been...
Well, if you were expecting Carmine Infantino flash art from the 60s, you're not getting that here. But weirdly, in a backup story, and it's another wrap-up story, so it's another slide-in backup story wrapping up a previous storyline from other writers from way back in, I'm pretty sure it's from Jerry Conway stuff. And we get a backup story called Once Upon Insanity with lettering that looks like Christmas. That font. It looks like Christmas, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a Christmassy kind of font.
So we get bulletin, missing Legionnaires found stranded but well on asteroid near Kendra Space, so we know that's, and Legionnaires known to be converging on a planet for reunion. So, and then we get Brainiac 5 and Element Lad going out to take care of something. I do like the touch here of letting us know that this story takes place after they were rescued and not at the same time, so you have some consistency there. But they're out to, and we find out that obviously Element Lad letting us know he's acting leader of the team. He's going to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Always. And we get a story by Paul Levitz. Larry Mahlstedt is inking, and the guest penciler is Carmine Infantino. What? So at this point, Carmine had been fired by DC a long time ago, and it was back. This, from what I've read about Carmine, is this was not a good time in his life. He felt very humbled that he was no longer like the editor of comics and art director, and he's now back sitting at his desk drawing again. And this was, from what I've read in the interviews with him, a humbling experience for the man.
I see. To do this backup story.
Well, not just this backup story, but just actually be at the art. Like, so, he went from being high-level person, of comics to just an artist again, and this didn't really sit well with him. So, and I also, I'm going to say this, I don't think Mahlstedt's inking is a good match for Infantino.
I can agree with that.
I think Mahlstedt's inking is a great match for Giffen. And just even the dots and things in the background. And Mahlstedt sort of inks everything, right?
Yeah. No, going through this, I just felt, I don't know what I felt looking at it.
I like the first story so much that I forget this story's in this book. I will look at this book and have no idea that this backup story is here. I know this backup story resolves something because I know what happens to Matter Eater Lad Tenzil Kem later in the mythos. But I know he gets healed at some point, but I forget the story's even here. Well, we get some wrap up. Actually, I think this might have been a Levitz story with Omega.
Okay.
So Levitz is cleaning up some of his mess. And I think maybe Conway cleaned it up. I don't remember exactly. Heck, I can look it up really quick on this Legion 250, 251. But yeah, I mean, we're cleaning up an old story. Basically, in a nutshell, they fight this creature Omega that was created because Brainiac 5 went insane.
No.
Yes. So Brainiac 5 went insane, and he created a creature that could basically destroy the universe that was unstoppable. Think of the Moriarty Data episode, right? Create something that, thanks Dr. Pulaski, create something that can defeat Data, right?
Right.
And that's basically what happens. So he creates basically an undefeatable creature, and then with that said, with creating that undefeatable creature. They have no way to stop that undefeatable creature, and it's coming to take something called the Miracle Machine.
No.
Which is basically this machine that was given to them by the controllers. You're like, who are all these people?
Ah.
The controller, there was a bad controller. They thought he was like the time trapper, and basically, in a nutshell, it was 251 was it was Jim. Oh yeah, it was Jim Starlin and Paul Levitz on that one. It was Paul Levitz's last issue of his run. Mm-hmm. So I can see why he wanted to go back and clean up the story, because remember he said in his interviews he didn't like that first run. And Jim Starlin, I think this might have been a Steve Apollo book too. I don't think Jim Starlin put his name on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
An Apollo book?
Yeah, there's some books that the storyline took so long to wrap up that Jim Starlin wouldn't put his name on it anymore. So they had him put Steve Apollo.
Steve Apollo.
Yeah, that famous artist, Steve Apollo. You've heard of him, right?
Yes.
I think I mentioned on an earlier Legion podcast that I had Jim Starlin sign one of the Steve Apollo books.
As Steve Apollo?
No, as Jim Starlin.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Will you put your real name on this, please? Thank you.
But I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Basically, in the story, they're trying to cure Matter Eater Lad because he is incurable, because he ate this thing called the Miracle Machine. Apparently, Matter Eater Lad can eat anything, but if you eat something that creates wishes out of nowhere for somebody, that apparently makes you go insane, which does make sense. We find out that there's a doctor there that's been after Brainiac 5 because Brainiac 5 cost him his job after he was cured from insanity.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because he reported that he was a bad guy, so think Nurse Ratched type stuff here. Bad doctor.
Not the good doctor, but the bad doctor.
And he tries to kill everybody, and they rescue Tenzel, Kem, Matter Eater Lad from the insane asylum. The bad guy goes to jail. We get a lot of really terrible art, and they release him to their custody so he can take him back to Legion headquarters and try to cure him. So we get in the first annual. That's how we're setting up for the annual. He's going to try to restore Matter Eater Lad's mind. We're going to find out why the Earth might get destroyed, who the newest Legionnaire will be. And I think Matter Eater Lad is often on the list of like the stupid CBR. Here's the 10 worst superpowers ever. Let's pick every bad character from the Silver Age. Look how cool I am. I'm going to write my comic book story now. This pissed me off so much. It's like, yeah, okay. So Matter Eater Lad, right? He comes from the planet Bismol, which is hilarious.
Pepto. Bismol.
Yeah. He can eat anybody on his planet can eat any form of matter. He eats the Miracle Machine. Giffen would actually play this back much later. Mm-hmm. And after writing JLI, when he was, I guess they was writing at the same time, basically, but the Legion in 1989, he brings Matter Eater Lad back about after the first few issues. So it wasn't the very beginning. I think it was about 12 issues, 13 issues in.
Yeah.
They don't say it. It's not overt, but having the powers of the Miracle Machine sort of in him, Tenzel just sort of goes through life and just good things keep happening for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because miracles happen.
Right. So like he'll just go, he's like the original way they got rid of him the first time, Levitz got rid of him by having him drafted into, I think it was Levitz, it might have been Carrie Bates, but got rid of him by having him drafted into politics on his home planet. So he had to leave. So that's how they got rid of him the first time. And then he came back and he ate the Miracle Machine. But then he would just go through life and do things, anything he wanted. And things just always seemed to work out. Like he had reality TV shows like Tenzel for the Defense. Where he defended Polar Boy on trial. Like, yeah, no, you would have loved this, right? Like, I've got to get one of these issues to you because this is right up Greg writing alley. Like, It is fantastic. I love what they do with the character later. And one of the things I really like about the Levitz Giffen run in a lot of ways, and then the Giffen run later, is that they will call back to a lot of these things that are here. They don't let them sit. They'll let them sit even for a couple years, but then it's like, okay, hey, let's bring back this character and play with it and see what we can do.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
I like it.
We got some letters.
All right, let's see what we got.
Well, Dominic Romano from 68 Langor Terrace in Toronto, Ontario, says he loves Broderick and Tangall's cover in 285. We liked it too.
Yeah.
At Night Never Falls at Nullport. He said Broderick handled the horse character well. Well, there we go. Remember our horse character? He was trading all the ships. Yeah,
right.
That was good. Now we get another one from Neil Alquist from 1315 Madison Street, Nebraska, though, Minneapolis, Minnesota. He sees what we've been seeing. He says, Paul Levitz has always made the best use of Dream Girl's powers in his Legion stories, but after The Forgotten Future, I'm even more of a Dream Girl fan. She couldn't have better summarized the pace of the story on her own brave attitudes, replacing her powers when she said the absence of something formerly present is as much a change as the presence of something formerly absent. I don't know what that means. I guess I said it in the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he likes Paul's expertise with superheroines, and I was just critiquing. You know, it's almost like Paul Levitz was setting Dream Girl up for something the readers were going to make him do.
I think so.
I don't know. Are we sure?
He's guiding their hands.
It's almost like the readers were pushing him to use Dream Girl.
Perhaps so.
Well, it's a good issue, and then we have the backup story. So maybe I should take it off my list of single best. Maybe I should not say single best issues, but I should say single best stories. You know,
I mean, the backup story is not bad, and I don't like. And it's not. I'm not going to say the art's bad. It's just not it jarred me because I wasn't. It's just it didn't meet up to what my expectations of the other art. So. But
we get a Silver Age artist in a Modern Age, Bronze Age book, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. The faces are not consistent. I can talk. Actually, it's interesting. He almost draws the villain, the Doctor, with the 6 arms. I think almost better than he does the faces here.
Yeah.
And again, at this point in Carmine Infantino's career. I was talking about judging people on their whole career earlier in the podcast, but I think in Carmine's, in this case, I probably want to judge somebody on the bulk of their career, when they were, at their peak, as opposed to this
one story.
I probably want to remember those Flash issues, like the one with the Flash running down one side and the Golden Age Flash running down the other, more than I want to remember this.
Yeah.
But it also it's almost like a throwback to when, if you look at the art, I think why it's so jarring to me, besides the inconsistency of the faces, right? Remember, a lot of people's criticism of Kurt Swan on the Legion as you could only tell who the Legionnaires were based on their skin color and hair color. Mm-hmm. And this is absolutely the case here.
Fair.
Right? It's not Brainiac. There's no, you put them next to each other. This panel on page 3, because there's page numbers.
Yeah.
With Brainiac 5 and Element Lad's faces next to each other, and there's no difference. It's just Brainiac skin color green. And hair color. Yeah.
Brainiac is green. And I was like, what's going on? But they look good. They just don't look right.
And maybe if this book was put out in 1966, we might be praising the art, saying how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
The Science Police Officer on page 8 looks pretty ripped there.
Yeah. Put it next to put it on the stand next to a Batman book or something like that at the same time. I'd be like, this is cool. But
you just can't put this next to Giffen's art.
No.
Or even Broderick's, right? Who we just transitioned out of.
You can't. It is apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's just a very weird placement. Mm-hmm. So
2 different things.
And honestly, too, Levitz was probably I get to work with Carmine Infantino.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I mean, he'd worked with him in the offices, right? But here he's writing. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a huge honor to him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, cool, let's do this. Let's do a story. Let's knock this out.
Yeah.
It's a good story. It's kind
of like when Ron Randall talks about having Murphy Anderson ink him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's his, favorite moment in comics.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things.
But well, anyway, I won't keep it almost makes me sad because the first story is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I also almost wish like the backup story wasn't here and we could have just had like
the backup story was just part of something else.
I want 7 more pages of the other story.
Yeah. Write a letter.
I should write a letter.
I
wonder what they're going to say about this art in future letters. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I almost feel like this could have been a 1-page summary to set in the annual. Like,
there you go. You know what you should do, Dan? You should make a podcast and talk about it.
About comics?
Yeah.
Or what I hate about that art there.
Just in general. Oh my gosh, wait, you're doing it. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, I thought, I mean, the story is here. Good. We're setting up for another big story. So next week, you're going to get Monster in a Little Girl's Mind.
Whoa.
Where we're going to get another Silver Age villain brought back with a twist lime. A twist of polar lemon. Hopefully better than that.
It's got a twist of raspberry and pink lemonade.
We do have a couple of other things to talk about.
Do we?
I understand that you have a book on the stands right now.
Right now, yes. Absolute Zeros, Camp Launchpad. Michael Tanner, myself, and art by Gabriel Gomez.
I saw in that book that you, being a famous author, also noted in your bio that you are on a podcast.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I say I was on a podcast?
Yeah.
Is it Funny Book Forensics?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I did.
and another podcast too. We won't worry
Nurse
about
in
that
the
one.
Crypt?
Well, it's not on Project Nerd, so I don't know if we should talk about it.
Oh, come on now.
But it's it's not there yet. I mean, it could be.
It could be.
Right now, it's on the Funny Book Forensics podcasting network, sort of.
Whoa, yeah. But yeah,
there's a lot of networks going around, but that's okay. Yeah, so you have a book. I read it already.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about it sometime.
We'll have to do a podcast about it. Look at you just like slide that out of there. You're like, I'm done for the day.
No.
We're not talking about that book right now.
No, I mean, I'm gonna say it's very surreal because it was and I'll say this every time somebody brings it up because it's literally, we started working at like 2017, 2018, and it's 2024 now when we're recording this podcast, and I couldn't talk about the book for years, and then all of a sudden, like literally 2 months ago, the publisher's like, go ahead, talk about it. And I'm like, okay, when is it coming out? They're like, in 2 months.
Well, I wasn't allowed to talk about it because as an esteemed member of the media, I could not get an advance copy.
That's true.
It's, well, I also want to report, too, that I'm highly disappointed with the book. Not the book itself. I enjoyed reading the book.
Okay, what were you disappointed with?
However,
yes,
my copy, Amazon sent my hardcover without an MXPX CD.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I want to know how you're going to rectify this.
Well,
I understand that Jason in North Kakalaki
North Kakalaki
also did not get an MXPX CD.
Yes, he did not. He messaged me with a photo, sad face, no MXPX CD. I also got a couple other messages from people saying no MXPX CD.
I mean, I've been promising this for months.
Yes. Sorry, dear listeners out there of the Funny Book Forensics. You should never listen to anything that Dan says and hold it to the truth.
Wow.
In the sense that, I mean, you should.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
wow. Okay. Mm-hmm.
When I tell you that it's not coming with an MXPX CD, and he says over and over that it is, and I tell you no, it's not. You should listen to the guy whose book it is, and
I'm also highly disappointed because it did not smell like vanilla cupcakes.
Well, I'm sorry. That was it was a wish that you had that it would come with an MXPX CD.
No, it was just it was to honor the strawberry shortcake lady and Steve Gerber, and
what I can do for you to rectify this is, if you want, I will go through my collection of CDs, and if I can't find you an MXPX CD, I will gift you something else, probably like a karaoke CD. And
I'm not sure what I would do with an MXPX CD.
Exactly,
so
right?
I can play it in my car because I still have a CD player.
Yeah, see? I will give you this Still in the Plastic Trippin' soundtrack for the motion picture Trippin'.
No thanks.
Music from the motion picture Trippin'. I will sign it for you if you want. It's got music from all your favorite jams and amazing music from this great movie from the 90s. As you can see, it's still in this plastic, hasn't been opened yet. But from me to you, Dan, and if you're going to pass on that, then I could probably give that to somebody else.
Well, yeah, you're tripping if you think I want that.
It's got a song on there called 7 Mile.
Oh, wow, like 8 Mile, but shorter.
1 mile less.
There was only half a spaghetti.
His hands were not sweaty.
Yeah. Well,
he couldn't get himself a Stanley Cup because he already had a Yeti.
Oh God. Okay, that's where. Well, I'll leave the cordyceps out of this today then, and because you're now taking it away from me. But that's okay. It's fine.
Want the cordyceps? Okay,
no,
I got those.
No, I'm good.
Want them?
I said I wasn't bringing them up today.
Oh,
well, the important thing is
cordyceps in the CD.
Moving forward.
Yes.
You of course can always find us at funnybookforensics.com when I update the page.
Yes.
You can find us on YouTube. It's just not us on video, but you can listen to the podcast there. You can listen to it on YouTube Music. You can listen to it in anywhere you get podcasts with the RSS feed. We always put a link to the podcast in the show, in our Facebook posts, and our Twitter posts, and our Instagram posts. But you can now also find us.
Where?
On project-nerd.com.
Whoa.
Well, I think you'll be able to find us. Last time I looked, there was just a picture of our podcast, but there was no podcast.
Well, maybe in the future, soon.
I think, or the future of now too, then when this is being broadcast, then likely in the future, short past future.
Yes, next month.
Hopefully before the 30th century or the 31st century.
In a short jump.
We will be on Project Nerd. There's also, did you know that there's other podcasts on Project Nerd?
No, I did not. Well, I did.
That's normal because you don't actually listen to anything that's on the networks that you...
I do too. How dare.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, well, I subscribe to all of them, and I might not listen to them all because my day is short.
Wow. Okay. Well, soon we'll tell you about a whole bunch of them because we're going to be on one, but I don't know when, so I'm not going to announce it right now.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Actually, I will announce it. We're going to be on Press Play to listen. I just don't know when.
And then then people should press play to listen to that once we're on it.
Right. And then never press play again.
No, they should. They should continue to press play, and then they should tell them that they want us to come back as guest again.
Oh.
Isn't that how that works?
Oh, you mean we collaborate with other people?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at collaboration.
But that's how you get the growth.
What? That's how you get growths? You just say, by collaborating, you get growths? Yeah, I've heard about that.
No, you get the growth.
That's like the sexually transmitted diseases and stuff. Is that you're talking about warts and things? That's not okay.
No, you get the...
By collaborating together, you get growths. Ugh.
No,
yeah,
you get the...
Yeah.
Dan, you've taken it to the dark...
Really? I feel like you said it very clearly.
No,
it's exactly like where Saturn Girl and Timberwolf are going.
Exactly, they're going to the corner of hell. We are. That's how we expand our reach.
Oh, we have a reach?
We will have a reach when people press play to listen.
Ah, that's it. On project-nerd.com.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
You can also find Project Nerd on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. I hear.
Yo, wow.
I'm just joking.
Don't you create the memes for them sometimes?
No, sometimes I contribute to the memes. Yes, it's always fun to see people share memes that I've contributed, and then it's a bunch of people that I know that follow them that share their memes, and it's I was in my meme bucket.
I don't really know how memes work, so it's okay.
Do you look at memes and they make you laugh? Do they give you the
Not
feels?
Really. No, not really. Most of the time, no. I would also say if you've seen the art for our podcast, you could know I'm not really good at it either. I just kind of find something in the comic that I think I like and then put it in the cover art.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a gift.
Yeah, you are gifted, that's for sure.
It's true. And talented.
Yep.
That's what the class was called.
Oh, that's where the short bus was going. Okay,
yes,
well.
Exactly. Thanks a lot.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should wrap this thing up before you go into some place and knock over a whole bunch of astronaut statues.
Yeah. Hey, now. Spoilers, dude.
Hey, if you want to know.
If you want to know, read Absolute Zeros.
Camp Launchpad.
Camp Launchpad, and then you too can reach for the stars.
Oh, one more thing. There was an announcement about Starlight.
Oh, yeah. What did Travis do an announcement?
Wow, you don't even know. Okay, well, you know what? We'll hold it off till next week then. We'll talk about it some more.
What was his announcement?
You wrote the announcement, but that's okay.
Well, I know I wrote. Well, I posted it. I know I posted it.
Yeah, well, Greg posted an announcement. We'll give you more next week. There's news coming about Starlight.
We're getting done. Okay, I thought there was. I know he just.
News
posted,
coming soon. News coming soon.
Yes. We're
perfect.
Getting close to. Yes, getting close.
News coming soon. Okay, news coming soon about the issue 7 launch. So
issue 7 launch, and Ringo
we should have
Awards.
6 very soon.
Yeah, and Ringo Awards are open for nomination. So if you like Starlight and you like what Brett has done, and you like his art and his coloring, and you like the amazing lettering that Tom has done on issue 5, and if you like the story and stuff like that, you can
Ringo Star.
Ringo Awards, you can go and nominate Starlight for any of those things.
Oh, I didn't know. Is that like a campaign or something?
It's an awards thing, you know. It's a comic
like
awards.
The Eisner Awards.
Yeah, it's like that kind of. Yes.
But for Ringo Starr.
No, not for Ringo Starr. It's trying to get Starlight. Thanks, Dan. There's a link.
You're welcome.
There's a link. I posted a link.
You said the Ringo Awards and you expected me to be serious.
I did. And I thought you were just getting Starlight and Ringo confused. You were doing a thing. Yes.
Well, Ringo, it's all good.
Ringo
okay,
Star.
so
Ringo Starlight Awards.
We will also provide a link to the Ringo Awards.
Yes.
I'll make a new special TYL link or whatever they're called. Whatever I'll make a short link. We'll link you there.
And link it there, and go vote for us. I know there's a lot of other books out there, but we would like to be one of those books as well. So
basically, I've heard nobody's going to vote for you unless we do a issue of Capwolf.
Yeah, it's true. We have to do an issue of Capwolf. So
well, we got to finish up some Legion issues first.
Capwolf. I know you're the holdout. You're like,
wow.
Oh, no. Mm-hmm. You told me yesterday on the phone.
Oh man. Well, we've got a big lineup coming up. We've got 4 Legion superheroes issues left. We got to do those. Actually 5. It's gonna take us up to May-ish, and then we're gonna through May. We probably have to do some Absolute Zeros Camp Launchpad thing. We're probably gonna have to do a Starlight issue 6. That seems to take us through like July.
Oh boy, and then Capwolf.
Oh boy.
Hear to hear, folks. We're gonna get to Capwolf someday.
If we end up at a certain comic convention again, I think a live Capwolf seems appropriate.
Okay, fair enough. Make it happen.
Capwolf seems like one of those things that goes in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
However, if we're doing something in front of a live audience, I'm going to need the actual book.
We'll need the actual book, and if we end up at that particular show, we might have to. And I'll just say it right now: we might just have to have potential
a Tracy back,
a Tracy on the show with us. Yes.
Okay. Well, if we're doing Capwolf, I think. I mean, we'll probably do 2. We'll have to do a couple issues of Capwolf. I mean, you're gonna have to get it to me too, and I'm sure Capwolf can't be found in a dollar bin or anywhere. Yeah. So I'm sure it's a very expensive book.
So, I mean. Yeah, so we'll have to have someone will have to love us, but yeah, we'll need Tracy to be on the show to talk about the Capwolf.
Okay, well she
knows a lot more about Capwolf than we do.
We should probably stop talking because we talked for a long time, and I think the listeners are probably bored. Honestly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you all are tired of this. This has been a very long show.
But Project Nerd.
Yeah, we now mentioned them so much that we need
Funny Book Forensics.
Yes.
And buy Absolute Zeros Camp Launchpad. And that's it. We're done. So we're out of here. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and come back for more when we review A Monster in a Little Girl's Mind.
Sounds weird.
It's good.
Is it? Are we doing Monsters Inc.?
No.
Is this gonna be all about that one dude that
Yep.
like steals kids and then makes them scream into a jar?
Well, goodbye, everyone. That was a great edition of Funny Book Forensics. Bye, Greg.
All right, bye, Dan. Are we hitting the button now? Are we hitting the button? Oh, you did. You're telling me to wrap it up. Okay, I get it.